My name is Jessica Thompson, and what happened 3 weeks ago in Austin taught me that sometimes the most devastating revenge isn't emotional, it's contractual. You know that sinking feeling when your parents threaten to disown you for keeping something that's legally, morally, and spiritually yours? When they drag a realtor into your grandmother's house demanding you sell it and split the money with the sister who's never worked a day for anything in her life? That's exactly what mine did when they discovered I'd inherited Grandma Rose's $850,000 lakefront property in Westlake. They didn't just suggest I share. They brought contracts, threats, and ultimatums. What they didn't know was that I'd already sold it 2 days earlier to someone they'd never suspect. When Ashley saw who was standing in that doorway holding the deed, she literally collapsed. Before I tell you how my sister's own CEO became my secret weapon of justice, please hit that like button if stories about standing up to family manipulation speak to your soul. I genuinely want to know, are you the family scapegoat too? Or were you the golden child who's just now realizing how cruel that system really was? Because what happened next changed everything, and I mean everything. The morning it all exploded, I was in Grandma Rose's kitchen making coffee in her vintage percolator, surrounded by 40 years of memories embedded in every cabinet and corner. The house still smelled like her lavender sachets and homemade biscuits. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a back deck that overlooked Lake Austin, the place where I'd learned what unconditional love actually felt like. My phone had been buzzing since 6 a.m. Mom, Dad, Ashley, even aunts I hadn't heard from since Obama was president. All demanding I do the right thing about the inheritance, as if keeping what Grandma Rose specifically left to me was somehow morally wrong. At exactly 9:47 a.m., 3 cars pulled into the gravel driveway. Mom's white Lexus, Dad's truck, and a silver Honda I didn't recognize. Through the window, I watched my family emerge like some kind of intervention squad. Mom clutched a folder of papers. Dad wore his serious business expression. Ashley stumbled out of the back seat in designer heels completely inappropriate for gravel. Her face already red and puffy from what I assumed was preemptive crying. But it was the 4th person who made my stomach drop. A woman in a power suit carrying a briefcase and wearing that aggressive smile real estate agents practice in mirrors. They'd brought professional reinforcements. The doorbell rang 3 times in rapid succession. "Jessica, honey, open up. We need to talk." Mom's voice carried that fake sweetness she reserved for public manipulation. "We brought Rebecca Patterson. She's Austin's top realtor. She has buyers ready to make an offer today." "Today? Not next week, not after we'd discussed it. Today." I opened the door and faced the firing squad. "Good morning to you too, family." "Don't be dramatic," Dad said, pushing past me into Grandma's living room like he owned the place. "We're here to solve this situation before it gets uglier." Uglier. As if my inheritance was inherently ugly, rather than the most beautiful gift anyone had ever given me. Ashley hung back. Mascara already smudged. "Jess, please. You know this house should be shared. Grandma loved both of us equally." That was the first lie of many that morning. Let me paint you the full picture of the Thompson family dynamics, because understanding the players is crucial to appreciating what happened next. David Thompson, my father, 58, owns a moderately successful insurance agency, drives a pickup truck to appear down-to-earth but golfs at the country club every Saturday. The kind of man who thinks daughters are investments that should provide emotional returns. Has never, not once, asked about my career achievements, but can recite Ashley's social media follower count. Patricia Thompson, my mother, 54, former beauty queen turned helicopter parent who channeled all her frustrated ambitions into molding Ashley into the daughter she wished she'd been. Volunteers at charity galas for the social status, not the cause. Still introduces Ashley as my baby and me as Jessica. Ashley Thompson, 28, social media coordinator at Rodriguez Digital Solutions, Austin's fastest growing tech startup. Objectively beautiful in that effortless way that makes photographers stop her on the street. Has changed career paths 6 times, apartments 8 times, and boyfriends more often than I change my car's oil. Never paid for anything beyond coffee and gas, and even then, usually asks for reimbursement. Rebecca Patterson, the realtor. Mid-40s, wearing what I estimated was a $3,000 suit, and carrying an air of someone who closes deals by making people feel guilty for wasting her time. Her business cards probably had gold foil. And then there was me, Jessica Thompson, 32, senior financial analyst who'd clawed her way through state school on scholarships and stubbornness. The responsible one, the independent one, the one who'd never asked for anything because asking had never worked. The family dynamic was simple. Ashley was the sun, and the rest of us were planets orbiting around her needs, her dreams, her crises. But Grandma Rose had seen through all of it. Growing up, Thompson meant learning early that love was conditional and attention was rationed. While Ashley got private tennis lessons at Westwood Country Club, I rode my bike to the public courts and hit balls against the wall by myself. While she attended drama camp in Colorado every summer, I worked at the local library for minimum wage, saving every penny for college. Jessica's so independent, Mom would say to neighbors, like independence was a character flaw I'd developed to spite her. She doesn't need what Ashley needs. Translation: Jessica doesn't deserve what Ashley deserves. I remember sitting at our kitchen island, showing Dad my acceptance letter to UT with a partial scholarship. He glanced at it for maybe 10 seconds before asking, "Did you see Ashley's homecoming photos? She looked like a movie star." My academic achievement was expected. Ashley's appearance was miraculous. The favoritism wasn't subtle. Ashley's bedroom was redecorated 3 times before she graduated high school. Mine still had the same Target comforter from middle school when I moved out for college. When Ashley wanted to study abroad in France, they liquidated part of Dad's retirement fund. When I asked for help with textbooks, they suggested I work more hours. But there was one sanctuary in my childhood: Grandma Rose's lake house. Every Sunday after church, while Mom and Dad took Ashley to whatever activity demanded their attention that week, I'd ride my bike the 6 miles to Westlake. Grandma Rose would be waiting on her deck with sweet tea and undivided attention. "How's my brilliant girl?" she'd ask, genuinely interested in my honor roll certificates and science fair projects. While my parents missed my high school graduation because Ashley had a tennis tournament, Grandma Rose sat in the front row with a bouquet of sunflowers and tears in her eyes. "Why don't they love me the same?" I asked her one evening when I was 17, after my parents had forgotten my birthday, to plan Ashley's Sweet 16. Grandma Rose pulled me close, her arms smelling like the vanilla candles she burned year-round. "Oh, sweetheart, they do love you. They just don't understand you." Ashley reflects what they wish they were. beautiful, carefree, socially successful. You reflect what they actually are: hardworking, practical, resilient, and that terrifies them because it reminds them of their own limitations. Those words became my armor. While Ashley floated through college on our parents' dime, changing majors like hairstyles, I worked 3 jobs to graduate debt-free with a finance degree. While she found herself through backpacking trips they funded, I built a career in financial analysis. When I passed my CFA exam, Grandma Rose threw me a celebration dinner. My parents were in Cabo celebrating Ashley's engagement to a guy she'd known for 6 weeks, an engagement that lasted exactly 2 months, naturally. Every achievement, every milestone, every small victory, Grandma Rose celebrated them all. She kept a folder of my performance reviews, my professional certifications, my apartment lease agreements, proof that her granddaughter was building something real. "You're creating stability, Jessica," she told me during one of our Sunday dinners. "Your parents might not see it, but I do. And someday when I'm gone, you'll have more than just my love to remember me by." I thought she meant her jewelry or photo albums. I never imagined she meant the house, the place where I'd learned that family isn't about who shares your DNA, but who sees your worth when everyone else overlooks it. The house where I'd spent every summer reading on the deck, every Christmas morning opening presents, just the 2 of us, every weekend learning that I mattered to someone in this world. When she passed last year, I thought I'd lost my only real family. Then Attorney Williams called about the will reading, and everything changed. The will reading happened on a Tuesday morning in Attorney Williams' downtown Austin office. I'd taken a half day from work, expecting maybe some jewelry or her recipe box, tokens of love to carry forward. Ashley arrived 20 minutes late in a black designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent, playing the grieving granddaughter role with Oscar-worthy dedication. "We gather today for the final wishes of Rose Mitchell," Attorney Williams announced, adjusting his glasses. The man had handled Grandma's legal affairs for 30 years and knew our family's dynamics better than most therapists. The small bequests came first. Ashley received Grandma's jewelry collection, which made her beam with satisfaction. Various cousins got specific items: the antique china, the vintage quilts, the collection of first edition books. Then Williams cleared his throat. "To my granddaughter, Jessica Thompson, who has never asked for anything but has given me everything that matters, her time, her attention, and her genuine love, I leave my house at 427 Lakeview Drive, along with all furnishings, the bank account designated for property maintenance, and my eternal gratitude for seeing me as more than an obligation." The room went dead silent. Ashley's face cycled through confusion, disbelief, and then pure rage. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Grandma loved us equally." "The will is quite specific," Williams continued. "Ms. Jessica Thompson is the sole beneficiary of the property, valued at approximately $850,000. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. $850,000. In Austin's insane real estate market, lakefront property was basically winning the lottery. But more than the money, it was validation, proof that someone had seen my worth when my own parents had made me invisible. Ashley stood up so fast, her chair fell backward. "This isn't right. Grandma was confused at the end. Someone manipulated her." "Your grandmother was evaluated by 2 physicians before finalizing this will," Williams said calmly. "She was completely competent and made these decisions with full awareness." That's when the calls started, By evening, my phone was buzzing nonstop. First, Mom. Honey, we need to talk about this inheritance situation. It's complicated, and you might not understand all the implications. Then Dad. Jessica, I know you're emotional right now, but we need to think practically. That house is too much responsibility for one person. Finally, Ashley, sobbing. Jess, please, I know Grandma left it to you, but she would want us to share. I'm starting my career. I need help with a down payment. You already have your apartment. My studio apartment in a complex where the AC worked sporadically, and the neighbors held karaoke nights until 2 a.m. The pressure campaign intensified daily. Text messages at 6 a.m. and midnight. Voicemails filled with guilt, manipulation, and increasingly desperate pleas. Every relative with a phone number suddenly had opinions about family fairness and what Grandma would have really wanted. Think about your sister's future, Aunt Linda called to tell me. Ashley's at a crucial point in her career. This house could change her life. Uncle Mark tried the practical approach. Jessica, you're financially stable. You don't need this house the way Ashley does. Be the bigger person. Even my cousin Sarah, who I'd barely spoken to since high school, sent a Facebook message. I heard about the inheritance drama. Family should stick together. Maybe consider splitting it? The irony was suffocating. For 32 years, my family had operated on the principle that I needed less, deserved less, mattered less. Now suddenly I was supposed to be the bigger person, the mature one, the sister who sacrificed for family harmony. Ashley's tactics grew more sophisticated. She started posting Instagram stories from house hunting trips, always with captions like "someday" and "manifesting my dream home." She'd call me crying about her student loans that were largely fictitious since our parents had covered most of her education. I just thought we'd be partners in this, she sobbed during one particularly theatrical phone call. Like how families are supposed to support each other. Families. The word felt foreign coming from her mouth, considering she'd never treated me like family when it would have actually mattered. The breaking point came 2 weeks after the will reading. Mom called during my lunch break at work, her voice sharp with frustration. Jessica, this is getting ridiculous. Your father and I have made a decision. Either you agree to sell that house and split the proceeds with Ashley, or you're no longer welcome in this family. No holidays, no birthday calls, no contact with future grandchildren. Nothing. I sat in my car in the office parking lot, staring at the Austin skyline through my windshield. So, after 32 years of being treated like the consolation prize daughter, you're threatening to cut me off because I won't give away my inheritance? Don't be dramatic. We're asking you to be fair. Fair would have been treating both your daughters equally while we were growing up. Fair would have been coming to my college graduation. Fair would have been remembering my birthday without Ashley having to remind you. We did our best with both of you. No, Mom. You did your best with Ashley. You did the minimum with me. I hung up and sat there shaking, not from fear, but from a strange sense of liberation. That's when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The text message was formal, but intriguing. Ms. Thompson, this is Michael Rodriguez, CEO of Rodriguez Digital Solutions. I heard through professional channels that you might be considering selling a property in Westlake. I'm very interested in discussing this privately. Would you be available to meet? Michael Rodriguez. I knew that name from Austin Business Journal articles and LinkedIn posts that Ashley constantly shared. Her CEO, the 35-year-old tech entrepreneur who'd built a digital marketing empire from his UT dorm room. The man Ashley described as brilliant, gorgeous, and probably Austin's most eligible bachelor. I stared at the message for a full minute. This couldn't be coincidence. I typed back, "Mr. Rodriguez, I'd be interested in hearing your offer. When were you thinking?" His response was immediate. "Tonight, if possible. I can meet anywhere you're comfortable. And Ms. Thompson, this conversation should remain confidential for now." We met at a quiet coffee shop in South Austin, far from the downtown tech corridor where someone might recognize him. Michael Rodriguez was exactly what Ashley had described. Tall, well-dressed, with the kind of confident presence that probably made board meetings feel like casual conversations. "Thank you for meeting on short notice," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. "I'll be direct. I know about your family situation." My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. "I'm sorry?" Ashley talks about her family frequently at work. She's mentioned the inheritance, the pressure on you to share, your parents' threats. She has no filter when she's stressed. The irony was staggering. Ashley's oversharing habit, which had embarrassed me countless times growing up, had just revealed every detail of our private family drama to her CEO. She also mentioned, Michael continued, that she assumes you'll cave to family pressure eventually, that you always do. Those words hit like a physical blow. She said that? During a staff meeting last week, she was explaining why she might need time off for family legal issues. She said, quote, "My sister will do the right thing. She always does what the family needs, even when she doesn't want to." I set my coffee down before I spilled it. 32 years of being the family doormat, and Ashley had announced it to her entire workplace like it was an established fact. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. Michael leaned forward. "Because I'm interested in buying your house, and I think we can help each other. I've been looking for property in that exact area for a corporate retreat space. Somewhere quiet, inspiring, with good proximity to downtown, but feeling separate from it." "You want to turn my grandmother's house into a corporate retreat?" "I want to buy your property for above market value and offer you a long-term lease agreement at below market rent. You keep living there, I get the investment property I need, and your family gets exactly what they asked for. A sale." The proposal was brilliant and devastating in equal measure. "What's the catch?" "No catch. Well, one small detail Ashley doesn't know yet. The property would occasionally host company events, team meetings, strategy sessions, client presentations." The full picture clicked into place. Ashley would have to attend work functions at the house she tried to force me to give her. That's one way to look at it. I studied his face. "Why are you really doing this? You could find other properties." Michael was quiet for a moment, then smiled. "My grandmother raised me after my parents died. She left me her business, a small restaurant that became the foundation for everything I built afterward. If someone had tried to force me to share that inheritance," he shrugged. "Let's just say I have strong feelings about family members who think they're entitled to other people's legacies. What are you offering? $900,000, cash. Closing in 1 week. You sign a 10-year lease at $1,500 a month, which is about half the market rate for that area." I almost choked. $900,000? The property is worth it, especially for what I need. Plus, I believe in paying fairly for prime real estate. And Ashley? Ashley will find out about her new work arrangement when everyone else does. I looked at this man who was offering me financial security, the chance to stay in Grandma's house, and the sweetest possible revenge against a family that had never valued me. When do we sign? The next 3 days moved like a perfectly choreographed dance. While my family ramped up their pressure campaign, I was quietly orchestrating the most satisfying business transaction of my life. Michael's lawyer, Jennifer Park, met me at the house Wednesday morning for the property inspection. As she walked through Grandma's rooms with her tablet and measuring tape, I felt a strange sense of peace. This wasn't a loss. It was a transformation. Your grandmother had excellent taste, Jennifer observed, admiring the built-in bookcases and original hardwood floors. Mr. Rodriguez specifically requested that all furnishings be included in the purchase. He wants to maintain the home's character. Meanwhile, my phone continued its relentless buzzing. Ashley had escalated to calling my office, which resulted in my assistant politely informing her that personal calls weren't allowed during work hours. This only intensified her panic. "Jess, you're scaring me," she texted. "Why won't you answer? Mom says you hung up on her yesterday. We're family. We need to talk this through." The irony of Ashley suddenly discovering we were family after 32 years of treating me like an inconvenient roommate wasn't lost on me. Thursday brought the home appraisal. The appraiser, a stern woman in her 60s, spent 3 hours documenting every square foot, every upgrade, every detail that contributed to the property's value. "Lakefront properties in Westlake are gold," she told me confidentially. "Your grandmother bought this place for $47,000 in 1982. Today, it's worth every penny of that $900,000 offer. Maybe more." That evening, Dad called with his final ultimatum. "Jessica, we've been patient, but this ends tomorrow. Either you commit to selling and sharing with Ashley, or you're out of this family permanently. Your choice." I almost laughed. After 3 decades of being out of this family emotionally, the threat of official exclusion felt liberating rather than devastating. Friday morning, I signed the papers in Jennifer Park's downtown office. The wire transfer went through at 11:47 a.m., $900,000, the largest sum I'd ever seen in my account. But the real masterpiece was the lease agreement. 10 years guaranteed occupancy at $500 monthly rent. The house would serve as Rodriguez Digital Solutions' creative retreat space, hosting monthly team meetings, quarterly strategy sessions, and annual company events. Ashley's team specifically will be using the space twice monthly, Michael mentioned casually as we finalized the paperwork. She's been advocating for more creative collaboration environments. This should be perfect for her. The beauty of the arrangement was that everything was completely legal and professionally justified. Michael needed corporate space. I needed housing security. Ashley worked for his company and would naturally be included in company functions. The fact that those functions would happen in the house she tried to steal from me was just poetic justice. Friday afternoon, I got the call I'd been expecting. Mom's voice was sharp with suspicion. "Rebecca Patterson called. She said buyers have been looking at properties in your neighborhood, but when she drove by Grandma's house, there was a sold sign in the yard. What's going on?" "I sold the house," I said simply. The silence stretched for 10 full seconds. "You what?" "I sold it, yesterday. The papers are filed. The money is transferred. It's done." "To whom? Who did you sell it to?" "A private buyer. Cash offer, above asking price." "Jessica Thompson, you tell me right now who bought that house. Someone who made a fair offer and respected my decision to sell, without discussing it with family first? This is betrayal, Jessica. Pure betrayal. Actually, Mom, this is exactly what you demanded. You said I had to sell the house. I sold it. You were supposed to split the money with Ashley. No, you wanted me to split the money with Ashley. Grandma left the house to me, and I had every legal right to sell it to whoever I chose. The explosion was immediate and volcanic, screaming about betrayal, manipulation, selfishness, and various threats involving lawyers that we both knew Dad couldn't afford. I listened to the tirade with surprising calm, then said, Mom, you should know that I'll still be living in the house. I have a long-term lease with the new owner. A lease? What kind of buyer gives the seller a lease? The kind who wants a reliable tenant and recognizes the property's value. By Friday evening, the family group chat was in full meltdown mode. Aunts, uncles, and cousins who'd spent 2 weeks lecturing me about family values were now calling me manipulative, vindictive, and worse. Uncle Mark: This is the most selfish thing I've ever seen. Your grandmother would be ashamed. Aunt Linda: Ashley is devastated. How could you be so cruel to your own sister? Cousin Sarah: I can't believe you'd destroy family relationships over money. The accusations were rich, coming from people who'd spent 2 weeks trying to pressure me into giving away my inheritance for free. Saturday morning brought the call I'd been anticipating most. Ashley, sobbing hysterically. Jess, please tell me this is some kind of joke. Please tell me you didn't actually sell Grandma's house without telling us. I told you I was considering selling. You just assumed I'd let you dictate the terms. Who bought it? Why won't anyone tell me who bought our grandmother's house? It's not our grandmother's house anymore, Ashley. It's my house that I sold to someone who made a fair offer. But where will I live? How will I ever afford a house in Austin without that down payment money? The same way I've been affording my life for the past 14 years, by working for it. The conversation ended with Ashley screaming that I'd ruined her life and would regret this decision forever. But as I sat in Grandma's kitchen, my kitchen, Saturday night, watching the sunset paint Lake Austin golden, I felt no regret at all. Monday morning would bring revelations that would change everything. Monday morning arrived with the crisp clarity that only comes after making a decision you know will alter the trajectory of your entire life. I woke up in Grandma's bedroom, my bedroom now, and made coffee in her kitchen while watching the sunrise over Lake Austin. At exactly 8:30 a.m., I heard cars pulling into the driveway. Through the window, I watched the Rodriguez Digital Solutions team arrive for their first creative retreat strategy session. Michael stepped out of his Tesla, followed by 6 team members, including the company's marketing coordinator, who didn't yet know she was about to have the worst day of her professional life. Ashley emerged from her Honda Civic looking confused, but trying to maintain her usual bright professionalism. She wore a new blazer that probably cost more than my grocery budget, her blonde hair perfectly styled for what she assumed would be some trendy co-working space downtown. The moment she saw the house, Grandma's house, the house she'd tried to claim as her birthright, her face went through a transformation that would have been comical if it weren't so satisfying. First confusion. Why were they meeting at this random Westlake address? Then recognition. Wait, this looks familiar. Then horror. No. This can't be happening. I watched from the upstairs window as Ashley stood frozen in the driveway, while her colleagues chatted about the beautiful lakefront location and how inspiring it would be for creative brainstorming. Michael's voice carried clearly across the yard. "Welcome to our new creative retreat space, everyone. I think you'll find this environment perfect for innovative thinking." Ashley's voice came out as a strangled whisper. "Mr. Rodriguez, I think there's been some mistake. This is my grandmother's house." "Actually, Ashley, this is the company's new leased property. We'll be holding regular team sessions here starting today." That's when Ashley saw me in the window. Our eyes met across 30 feet and 32 years of family dysfunction. Her face cycled through disbelief, rage, humiliation, and something approaching genuine fear. She knew. In that moment, standing in the driveway of the house she'd tried to force me to share, looking up at me framed in the window of what was still legally my home, she finally understood exactly what had happened. I came downstairs and opened the front door. "Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 427 Lakeview Drive." Michael smiled. "Team, I'd like you to meet Jessica Thompson, our residential tenant and the previous owner's granddaughter. She'll be living upstairs while we use the main floor for company functions." Ashley made a sound like a wounded animal. "You sold it to him? You sold Grandma's house to my boss?" "I sold my house to a qualified buyer who made an excellent offer," I corrected. "The fact that he happens to be your employer is just coincidence." "Coincidence?" Ashley's voice rose to near shrieking levels. "This is harassment. This is some kind of conspiracy." Michael stepped forward, his tone remaining professionally neutral. "Ashley, I understand this is unexpected, but I need you to maintain professional standards. We have a strategy session to conduct." "I can't work here," she said, tears starting to flow. "Not in this house, not with her living upstairs." "That's your choice," Michael replied calmly. "If you feel unable to perform your job duties in this environment, we can discuss alternative arrangements with HR. The threat was subtle, but crystal clear. Ashley could work in Grandma's house with me as her upstairs neighbor, or she could find a new job. By this point, the other team members were looking uncomfortable, clearly sensing undercurrents they didn't understand. Michael guided them inside for the meeting, leaving Ashley and me alone in the driveway. "How could you do this to me?" she whispered. "I'm your sister." "Yes," I said quietly. "And that should have meant something to you before you tried to steal my inheritance." "I wasn't stealing anything. I just wanted fairness." "Ashley, you've had fairness your entire life. Private schools, college tuition, cars, apartments, vacations, bail money for that DUI you think I don't know about. You've had 32 years of our parents' resources, attention, and love. I got leftovers." "That's not true." "When was the last time Mom called me just to chat? When was the last time Dad asked about my job? When was the last time either of them celebrated anything I accomplished?" Ashley opened her mouth, then closed it. We both knew the answer. "Grandma left me this house because she saw what our parents never did, that I've been fighting for scraps of recognition my entire life while you've been handed everything on a silver platter." "This isn't about fairness, Ashley. This is about consequences." "So you destroyed my career to get back at me?" "I secured my own future. Your career is intact. You're still employed, still making good money, still the golden child. The only thing that's changed is that now you have to face the reality of what you tried to do to me." Michael appeared in the doorway. "Ashley, We're ready to begin. She looked between him and me, clearly calculating her options. Walk away and lose her job, or swallow her pride and attend a strategy meeting in the house she'd tried to claim as her own. She chose pride over pragmatism, as she always had. I quit, she announced dramatically. I won't be part of this humiliation. Michael nodded calmly. I'll have HR prepare your exit paperwork. You can clean out your desk tomorrow. Ashley turned to me one final time. I hope you're happy. You've gotten your revenge. You've destroyed my career, ruined my future, and torn our family apart. I haven't destroyed anything, Ashley. I've simply stopped being your doormat. She left then, speeding out of the driveway with gravel flying and leaving tire marks on the asphalt. Through the window, I watched the strategy meeting continue without her, professional and productive. My phone started ringing 20 minutes later. Mom, Dad, various relatives, all demanding explanations for why Ashley had come home crying about quitting her job. She didn't quit, I told Mom calmly. She chose pride over professionalism and walked away from a perfectly good job rather than work in the house she tried to steal from me. This is your fault, Jessica. You planned this. You manipulated that man into buying the house just to hurt Ashley. Mom, Michael Rodriguez paid me $900,000 for property he genuinely needed. The fact that Ashley worked for his company and couldn't handle the professional expectations of her job isn't my responsibility. $900,000? Dad's voice came from the background. You got $900,000? For the first time in the conversation, I heard something other than anger in their voices. I heard respect. Grudging, confused respect, but respect nonetheless. Yes, Dad. I negotiated a business deal that secured my financial future while maintaining my connection to Grandma's house. It's called strategic planning. The line went quiet. Then Mom's voice, smaller now. You're really not going to share any of it? Would Ashley have shared if the situation were reversed? Another long silence. That's what I thought. The aftermath unfolded with the inevitable precision of dominoes falling in predetermined patterns. Within 24 hours, Ashley's dramatic exit from Rodriguez Digital Solutions had rippled through Austin's surprisingly small tech community, and not in ways that favored her professional reputation. Tuesday morning brought a call from Jennifer Wu, Michael's director of operations. Jessica, I wanted to thank you personally. We've discovered some significant discrepancies in Ashley's social media campaigns from the past 6 months. Her departure actually solved a problem we were investigating. The revelation wasn't entirely surprising. Ashley had always been better at taking credit than earning it, more skilled at networking than actual work. In a results-driven industry like tech marketing, charm only carries you so far. By Wednesday, the family dynamics had shifted dramatically. Uncle Mark, who'd spent 2 weeks lecturing me about selfishness, called to ask if I needed financial advice for managing such a substantial windfall. Aunt Linda, previously Team Ashley, suddenly remembered how proud she'd always been of my business acumen. The most telling change came from my parents. Dad called Thursday evening, his voice carrying an unfamiliar note of respect. Jessica, your mother and I have been talking. We think we may have misunderstood the situation. Misunderstood. That was one way to describe 32 years of systematic favoritism. How so, Dad? Well, you got $900,000 for that house. That's more than we paid for our first 3 houses combined. You clearly know what you're doing financially." The implication was clear. Money had finally made me worthy of their attention. It was both validating and heartbreaking. "I've always known what I was doing financially, Dad. You just never asked." "We're proud of you," Mom added from the background. And I almost laughed at the absurdity. They were proud of me for the first time in my adult life because I'd executed a business transaction that made them look successful by association. "Thank you," I said simply, because what else do you say when your parents finally notice you exist because you have money? Ashley's unemployment lasted exactly 2 weeks. She found a position at a smaller agency with a 20% pay cut and no stock options. The job required her to manage social media for local restaurants and small businesses, a significant step down from her previous role coordinating campaigns for tech startups. The beauty was that none of it came from my interference. Ashley's reputation in Austin's tech community had taken a hit entirely through her own actions. Word travels fast in professional circles, and her dramatic exit from Rodriguez Digital Solutions hadn't been the power move she'd imagined. Meanwhile, my life transformed in ways I'd never expected. The financial security from the house sale allowed me to take consulting risks I'd never considered before. I reduced my hours at my corporate job and started building my own client base, working from Grandma's home office with Lake Austin as my view. The monthly Rodriguez Digital Solutions meetings became routine. Professional teams would arrive, conduct their sessions in the main floor conference area Michael had set up, then leave. The space was transformed, but respectful. Modern technology integrated seamlessly with Grandma's original charm. Michael and I developed an easy landlord-tenant relationship. He'd occasionally stay late after meetings to chat on the deck, sharing stories about building his company from nothing. We had more in common than I'd expected, both raised by grandmothers who believed in us when others didn't, both determined to build something lasting. "Your grandmother would be proud," he told me one evening as we watched the sunset over the lake. "Not just of the business deal, but of how you handled your family. She always said the best revenge was success, not anger." Wise woman. 3 months after the sale, I received an unexpected text from Ashley. "Can we talk? Not about the house? About us?" We met at a neutral coffee shop in South Austin. Ashley looked different, older somehow, less polished. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by practical business attire. The entitled confidence had been replaced by something resembling humility. "I've been in therapy," she said without preamble. "Dr. Martinez helped me understand some things about our family dynamics." I waited, genuinely curious where this conversation would lead. I never realized how differently we were treated growing up. I thought that was just how families worked, that parents naturally connected better with some children than others. The admission was stunning. For 32 years, I'd assumed Ashley was complicit in the favoritism, that she'd actively participated in my marginalization. The possibility that she'd been genuinely oblivious had never occurred to me. "When you sold the house to Michael, I felt betrayed. But Dr. Martinez asked me to consider how many times you might have felt betrayed over the years, and I couldn't answer because I'd never thought about it from your perspective." She paused, stirring her coffee with nervous energy. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for the money or the house or anything else. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand what I put you through, and I'm sorry." The apology was unexpected and surprisingly meaningful. not because it changed anything concrete, but because it acknowledged a reality that had been denied for decades. Thank you for saying that, Ashley. It means more than you know. Are we okay? Can we ever be okay? I considered the question honestly. I don't know, but this is a start. We parted that day without any grand gestures or tearful reconciliations, but with something I'd never expected to have with Ashley: mutual respect. The final piece of justice came 6 months after the sale. Rodriguez Digital Solutions had grown exponentially, and Michael decided to expand their creative retreat program. He purchased 2 additional properties in Austin, creating a network of inspiring workspaces for his teams. "I want to offer you something," he said during one of our deck conversations. "The opportunity to manage the entire retreat property portfolio. It would mean leaving your corporate job and running your own consulting business. But I think you'd be brilliant at it." The offer was tempting and terrifying in equal measure. It meant betting on myself in ways I'd never dared before. "What made you think of me for this?" "You understand what makes a space feel like home while maintaining professional functionality. You've turned this house into something that inspires creativity while honoring its history. That's exactly what we need." I accepted the offer 2 weeks later, officially launching Thompson Property Consulting with Rodriguez Digital Solutions as my anchor client. The irony wasn't lost on me. The house Ashley had tried to claim as her birthright had become the foundation for my business empire. A year later, I hosted Thanksgiving dinner for the first time. Just me, Michael, and Jennifer Wu, who'd become a close friend. We ate on Grandma's good china in the dining room where I'd once felt invisible, surrounded by the warm glow of acceptance and chosen family. My parents sent a card, but didn't visit. Ashley sent flowers with a note: "Grateful for new beginnings." As I carved the turkey Grandma had taught me to prepare, I felt her presence in every detail: the way the light fell through her lace curtains, the familiar creak of her floorboards, the peace that comes from being exactly where you belong. 2 years have passed since that explosive morning when my family tried to force me out of my inheritance, and I can honestly say it was the best business decision I've ever made. Not just financially, though Thompson Property Consulting now manages 12 retreat properties across Texas, but emotionally. I learned that sometimes the most powerful response to family manipulation isn't anger or argument, it's strategy. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time, then plan accordingly. My relationship with my parents exists now on my terms. They call occasionally, usually when they need something or want to brag to their friends about their successful daughter's business empire. The irony isn't lost on me that the same independence they once criticized as selfishness is now a source of family pride. Ashley and I have built something resembling a real relationship, maybe for the first time in our lives. She's engaged again, this time to someone she's known for over a year, which might be a record. She's also thrived in her new job, apparently discovering actual work ethic when Daddy's money wasn't there to cushion every failure. We have coffee once a month now, sometimes more. She's funny when she's not performing, intelligent when she's not competing for attention. I've come to understand that the golden child treatment damaged her too, just differently than it damaged me. She was never allowed to fail, never encouraged to develop resilience, never taught that love shouldn't be conditional on performance. "I don't think I really knew who I was until I had to figure it out myself," she told me recently. "You were always yourself, even when it was harder. The revelation surprised me. I'd spent so many years envying her easy path, never considering that always getting what you want might prevent you from discovering what you actually need. Michael and I are, well, it's complicated in the best possible way. What started as a brilliant business arrangement has evolved into something deeper. He proposed 3 months ago on Grandma's deck at sunset with a ring that somehow perfectly matched her vintage engagement photos. "I want to build something permanent with you," he said, and I knew he meant more than just our business partnership. We're planning a small ceremony next spring in Grandma's garden, surrounded by the roses she planted and the family we've chosen. Not the family we were born into, but the people who see our worth and celebrate our success without demanding pieces of our souls in return. The house itself has become something magical. During business hours, it hums with creative energy as teams strategize and innovate. After hours, it's our sanctuary, Michael and mine and Grandma's spirit, which I swear still hovers around her favorite reading chair. I've kept her room exactly as it was, and sometimes I sit there reading her books, feeling connected to the woman who saw my potential when my own parents couldn't. The woman who knew that the greatest gift she could give me wasn't just a house, but the opportunity to finally fight back. But here's what I want you to understand. This story isn't really about revenge, even though that's how it might seem. It's about recognizing your worth when others refuse to see it. It's about understanding that family obligations don't include accepting abuse or giving away pieces of yourself to keep the peace. Some of you watching this might be in similar situations. Maybe you're the family scapegoat, always expected to sacrifice for the golden child. Maybe you're tired of being taken for granted, tired of having your boundaries violated, tired of being told you're selfish for wanting basic respect. I want you to know that you don't owe anyone your inheritance, your opportunities, your happiness, or your self-respect. Not even family. Especially not family that only values you when you're useful to them. The people who truly love you will celebrate your success, not demand pieces of it. They'll respect your boundaries, not punish you for having them. They'll see your worth without you having to prove it constantly. And sometimes, just sometimes, the universe will hand you the perfect opportunity to stand up for yourself in the most satisfying way possible. So tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my situation? Have you ever had to choose between family peace and self-respect? How did you handle family members who felt entitled to your success? If you're currently fighting this battle, know that you're not alone. There's a whole community of us who've learned that the best families aren't always the ones we're born into. They're the ones we choose and build with intention. And if this story resonated with you, if it gave you hope or validation or just a few minutes of satisfaction watching justice prevail, please hit that like button and subscribe. Your support means everything to those of us who've had to learn the hard way that sometimes love means letting go of people who refuse to love you back. Until next time, remember, the best revenge isn't emotional, it's contractual. And always, always read the fine print. What do you think? Was I justified, or did I go too far? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about standing up to family manipulation with strategy, not screaming.